this is my current reaction when it comes to ICP because not too long ago, ICP was officially below $3, and then suddenly we saw it at around nearly $3.50, but then now it's back to around $3. What is my reaction? Again, this is what I want to say, even though nothing I say is financial advice. My kind of perspective is that this movement right there and just kind of that excitement level that I saw, I think kind of indicated to me just how low things have been for quite a while because it's not typical, right? If I had said, like, let's say, like months ago, that a 10% or like, let's say, a 15% movement would have been exciting, a lot of people would have been like, what? Why? But then as of right now, because ICP's been kind of not really doing anything for quite a while. And also a bunch of altcoins, just even like a 5% movement, 10%, a bunch of people are already saying, oh, wow, all this, just basically all this type of stuff, right? But personally for me, I feel like, sure, it was exciting for me to see that. And it wasn't like the best thing of all time in my perspective, but at least at the same time, kind of my mindset is that it showcases how things could hypothetically be different if there was an altcoin season, because sometimes during an altcoin season, we've seen historically, like sometimes a 5-10% movement in either direction, let's say during an altcoin season, it's not like it happens within a month. Sometimes we see a time span of like just hours or something like that. So could this maybe just be hypothetically somewhat of a, I guess, appetizer to what I could hypothetically see if there was an altcoin season? I mean, who knows? I can't control that, but this is just kind of my mindset. Now, also on top of all this, kind of my perception is that the internet computer, I don't think is ever going to become like a top 10 project within this space. But is that necessarily such a disappointing thing? No, because I think it's kind of difficult to achieve something like that. But at the same time, I am not like disappointed anyways, because again, not every project could do that. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be that massive ever, in my perspective, or have that sort of positioning. Because I think ultimately, when it comes to the internet computer, it kind of showcases like somewhat of a project that represents maybe what things could be moving forward. Because Dfinity, they really care about having things fully on chain, right? We don't really see that when it comes to a lot of its competitors. The reason why? I think because it's kind of difficult. Like a lot of its competitors just aren't really built for something like that. It requires, in some cases, a lot of computational demand, which again, some projects out there, they're just not equipped for that. What I like about the internet computer is that hypothetically, it's kind of arguably, at least from what I can see from Dfinity and what they post, it seems to be able to handle that if the time were to ever come in a massive scale. Now, I'll have to wait and see because I don't think I've seen mass scale adoption when it comes to the internet computer, but it's just like good to kind of have that sort of feeling, I suppose, personally in my case. It's like, for instance, let's say I'm driving a off-road vehicle. Let's say just normally, right? I'm not saying I'm going off-road. Like, let's say I'm driving a Range Rover or something like that. Am I really gonna go off-road? 99% probably not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'd ever do that. But it's just a feeling in which, you know what? In case I need to, I could. That's just kind of that feeling. You know what I mean? Like, personally for me, again, I'm not the type to just randomly go off-roading, and I'm not going to do that. But I'm saying, just driving something in which I feel like has maybe the capabilities if the time were to ever come, it's just kind of like a feel-good factor, I suppose. It doesn't mean I will do that again, but I'm just saying. It's kind of like, for instance, me using running shoes. Am I necessarily going to be running? Sometimes I'm just using it for walking, just for day-to-day activities, but it's just kind of good to know for me that, hey, you know what, in case I need to run a marathon or something like that, maybe I could use it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. Or let's say just running the treadmill or something, right? But even besides that point, when it comes to something like the internet computer, it just kind of gives me that vibe a little bit. It doesn't mean that, it's going to have the best adoption. No, but in case things need to be fully on chain, it seems like hypothetically it could maybe handle that. Who knows? But I'm just saying. When it comes to Dfinity as well, I seem to like what they're trying to do, right? Because they seem like they still care about the internet computer. That can't really be said with a bunch of other projects out there, which, it is what it is, I guess. But in my mindset, when it comes to just this space overall, I have not really seen such an emergence of projects that are really focused on things being on chain. A lot of other projects out there, some that are way more popular than the internet computer, they don't care about this. Now, is things being fully on chain, is it going to become a big narrative? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, that's not like something that I've been noticing as of right now, but if that narrative did become a hypothetical reality, because the internet computer and Dfinity, we take a look at what they're doing, maybe because they're sort of a little bit of a kind of early mover within that space, could that maybe, I think, cause it to have more notoriety? Who knows? But it wouldn't surprise me. It's kind of like this. Is Dogecoin and Shiba Inu necessarily the most revolutionary thing out there in the meme space? I don't think so. But just because they were there kind of somewhat in the beginning, it just as a result became very popular, right? It wasn't necessarily because I think it's the most revolutionary, it's just because it was kind of there early on. So it kind of harps back to my example right here. If, let's say, again, there was that big narrative of maybe hypothetically in a make-believe scenario of things being fully on-chain, let's say a lot of people suddenly started caring about that, would that put the internet computer in an okay position? Again, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but that's just my mindset. So overall, as of right now, I'm still staying patient. Now, clearly, it's still around 32 and a half times lower than $100, right? So it's not doing the best, but really, in my perspective, when it comes to these movements in the short term, I mean, they could be very kind of random, it feels like at times, in either direction, which is why I never try to find the perfect time. I am simply dollar cost averaging once a month. It is not something I am required to do, right? I mean, I don't have to do it at all, actually. This is something I'm voluntarily doing. But then at the same time as well, I am still a fan of what Dfinity is doing and the internet computer, and I'm looking forward to actually the World Computer Day event that's supposedly going to be happening in January, so next month. And we're kind of nearing the end of December currently, and it's soon going to be 2026. So yeah, I find that pretty cool. They're going to be having this sort of event in Switzerland, more specifically in Davos, Switzerland, and it's going to be again in January of 2026. There's supposedly going to be a professor speaking there. There's supposedly going to be other individuals as well. So yeah, just overall, as of right now, I am just kind of waiting, I guess. That's all I can do. But yeah, in the meantime, though, I am just going to be updating when it comes to their computer. When I take a look at ICP, doesn't have the best listings out there, doesn't necessarily have the most amount of holders out there either, but I'm still staying patient, just waiting. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. And thank you for watching. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to your computer, and I'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. But yeah, again, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one. It's Malik the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.